Hey there. Today we're going to open up a kind of digital toolbox. We'll take a look at the basic tools anyone can use to build a home for their ideas and their work on the web.
I mean, really, think about it. The sites you scroll through every single day, social media, your favorite shops, even your school's online portal. When you're clicking around and typing, what's actually happening behind that screen?
Well, the truth is, it's not some kind of magic. It's actually a lot like any other creative project. It just comes down to knowing which tools to use for which job. So we're going to unpack the three main tools that build pretty much everything you see online.
Okay, so why does this even matter for you? Because understanding these tools is actually super empowering, especially when you're a student. It means you can build a slick portfolio to land an internship, you can share a research project with the whole world, or just create a cool platform for your ideas. You get to be a creator, not just a consumer.
All right, so every good project needs to start with a solid foundation, right? Well, when you're building something for the web, that foundation is built with our very first tool, HTML.
HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and honestly, the easiest way to think about it is as the absolute skeleton of a web page. It's kind of like making an outline for an essay. You decide, okay, here's my main heading, these are my subheadings, here are my paragraphs, and this is where I'll put an image. It's just the raw stuff, all structured out.
If your website were a house, HTML would be the timber frame. You know, the 2x4s and the beams. It's not decorated yet, there's no paint on the walls, but it provides that essential structure that everything else is going to hang on. It's the pure substance. So we have our structure. You've written your content. But let's be real. A giant wall of plain texts isn't very inviting, is it? And that's where a second tool comes into play. Let's talk about style.
And that tool is CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. This is the design tool. If HTML was the outline for your paper, CSS is you formatting it, choosing the font, setting the margins, maybe making the title look really nice. It tells the browser how everything should actually look. And this slide, it's the perfect example of that transformation. Without CSS, this would just be a boring block of text. But with just a little bit of CSS, suddenly it has a nice background color, a clean border, and some breathing room around the words. You can literally see how it turns raw information into a clear, intentional design.
Okay, so our online project now has structure and it has style. It looks great, but it kind of just sits there. To bring it to life and make it engaging, we need our third tool, the one that adds the spark.
Think about the coolest digital projects you've seen online. Maybe it's an interactive map or a portfolio where the images get bigger when you hover over them. You're not just reading a page, you're interacting with it. And that requires a little something more. That something more is JavaScript. This is the tool that handles all the interactivity. So if HTML is the structure and CSS is the style, JavaScript is what makes the whole thing functional. It lets your project actually respond to people, turning it from a flat document into a real experience.
Here's a perfect example we've all run into. You're signing up for some new service, and as you're typing in a username, the site tells you instantly if it's available or not. That immediate feedback, without the whole page having to reload, that's JavaScript, working quietly in the background to make things feel smooth and responsive.
So let's quickly put our new tools back in order and just take one last look at how they all fit together.
So it really boils down to this. Making something for the web is a layered process. You start with HTML to give it structure and content. Then, you lay CSS on top to give it visual style and polish. And finally, you add that spark of JavaScript to make it interactive and engaging. Structure, style, and spark.
Now, these tools are always changing, and this quote really hits the nail on the head. The goal isn't to master every tiny detail overnight. The real skill is just to understand these core ideas, because that will help you adapt to whatever new tool comes along in the future.
And that's really the main takeaway here. You now understand what's inside the web's core toolbox. You don't have to become an expert tomorrow. You just have to be curious enough to open it up and see what you can create.